Hello friends, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really hope that you'll consider subscribing to my channel if you're enjoying the instruction that I'm giving you. So today we are going to be talking all about tone. So one of the most common things that I hear from violin learners right at the very beginning is that they sound like a dying cat or something, which obviously they are talking about tone. So just so we're all on the same page, tone is basically the sound quality. So tone and intonation are actually two different things. Tone is the sound quality and intonation is just the pitch of your note. They can affect each other. So if you're really in tune, your tone is going to be better. And if you're out of tune, the tone is going to be worse, but tone and intonation are two separate things. Just want to make sure that we all understand that. So a couple things to consider when thinking about tone. The first is the quality of your instrument. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I truly believe that a violinist should be able to make any instrument sound good. However, when you're right at the very beginning, if you have a better quality instrument, the easier it is to create a nice tone because the instrument's helping you, right? It wants to sound good. However, if you have a VSO, a violin-shaped object, that is not helping you, and you have to actually know how to, maneuver the bow. You have to know how to make a good tone already for that instrument to sound good. So I have a whole video on picking an instrument that I will leave down below. But basically, if it's possible for you to rent, I highly recommend renting because you will be able to play on a much higher quality instrument for much less money. So that could be the first thing that is affecting your tone. Second thing, I just want to throw this in there. If you're not getting any sound out of your bow, you need to put rosin on it. Next, let's talk about pressure versus weight. So when you are playing, you want to apply weight into the string instead of pressure. So pressure is when you are literally pressing down on the string. And weight is just allowing the natural weight of your arm to sink into the string. So I have an exercise to help us practice that. So what you're going to do is put your right hand out in front of you like this. Then you're going to take your left hand finger and put it on your elbow. And then just let your weight of your arm sink into that finger. Okay? Should be like dead weight. You're going to gradually move your finger up until you get to your fingers, actually. You want to still feel that weight sinking in, and that is exactly what you want to feel when you are bowing. You can even think of bowing in a U shape. So I go down with my weight and then come up. A lot of tone production on the violin is actually resonance. So we want the violin to ring as much as possible, and then the tone is going to sound great and is actually going to sound louder as well. So if you are pressing on the violin, which would sound something like this, it's not going to ring. You are really suppressing that ring. But if you are just putting the weight of your arm into the bow, it's going to sound something like that, and you can clearly hear my string ring even after I stopped playing. Now there are three elements of tone production. So the first element is what I just described, the weight. So the more weight that you put into your bow, the louder your violin is going to sound, and then the less weight that you put, obviously, the softer you are going to sound. The second thing is your bow speed. So this is how fast you are moving your bow. And the third thing is contact point. So the closer you get to the bridge, generally the louder it is, and then the closer that you get to the fingerboard, the softer it is. Okay, so there's really 5 different contact points on the violin. The first, number 1, is going to be all the way over the fingerboard. We very rarely want to play there unless it literally says sul tasto, which means over the fingerboard. Sounding point number 2 is going to be still pretty close to the fingerboard, but not right over it. Sounding point 3 is going to be right in between the bridge and the fingerboard, and that's basically where we want to stay for the good majority of the time. Sounding point 4 is going to be closer to the bridge, We want to use sounding point 4 when we're higher up on the instrument. And then sounding point 5 is right on the bridge, which again, we barely want to use, except maybe in orchestra music. If it says ponticello, that means over the bridge. So I would first just master a basic sound. So keeping your bow in contact point 3, applying an even amount of weight into the bow, and just moving your bow at a decent speed. So it sounds something like this. This is something great to practice on scales, and you're just developing that baseline tone. After that, you can begin to experiment with the things I just mentioned to create different characters and different dynamics. Also, if your right hand is stiff, like it is with many students, you're not going to get the best tone possible. So I actually do have a whole video on like bow flexibility and control exercise that are really going to help with your tone. I will leave that link down here below as well. Also, tone takes a long time to develop. I remember when I was learning, I've been learning for several years, and I just thought, like, why don't I sound like those guys? You know what I'm saying? And then just by playing more and more and getting better and better, then I started to actually have a nice developed tone. So it is going to take a long time to develop, so don't fret if you're not where you want to be. Again, this is a lifelong journey. Everybody learned at their own pace. But those are the main elements of tone production. If you have any questions about tone, please feel free to drop them below, and thank you for watching.